News Talk 640 WFNC. What a great day. We got about 20 more minutes, Kenny. We're going to be out of here.
All right.
We're going to be hitting the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more.
Don't let the screen door hit you.
Well, look, Antoinette Locklear Hurtt is the police chief of Red Springs, and people think it's new, but that's not the case. You've been the police chief since the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
How does that work? Do they just say, hey, come on over, you apply for the job, they had the opening, what happened?
It didn't quite work that way. So there was like several assessments. There were like 5 candidates. I think most of them two, me and another were from Robeson County. And then the other 3 were from out of state. Not out of state, but one was out of state. And we had to go through some assessments. And I think that was Red Springs' first time ever going through that type of assessment. And I think that's the ongoing thing now for new hires.
Well, I mean, it's essential to make sure you have the right person. And so when you have openings like this, there are a lot of people interested in it. You just happen to be from Lumberton, from this area. Give us a little background of who you are and who your daddy was.
Lumberton, I grew up in Lumberton. My father was Brother Billy. What a deal, $5. So everybody knows my daddy.
No, hold it. We're not just going to blow by that. Kenny, you want some of this, don't you?
I remember that.
Do you remember it?
Yes. That was great.
Well,
do it again. I can't do it.
Well, I mean, what was the deal?
Well, the deal was, my dad would sell anything. He could sell a vase that it had rust on it for $25, and I wouldn't pay a penny for it. But he was like you guys. He loved to get on the mic and talk. I think I somewhat got some of his character.
Well,
I think he did commercials, didn't he?
He did. He owned stores. He owned the radio station right there on Union Chapel Road, Chicken Road.
Yeah.
The Lumbees out there. Woo woo.
See, and so Candy, that's what you remember.
Right.
You remember her dad. Okay. So, and I'm sure everybody in your community remembers your dad as well.
Oh, yeah. Every time they see me, ain't you Brother Billy's daughter? As a matter of fact, I had it on traffic stops when I stopped a car.
But don't hold it. So, I mean, you're wait a minute. I'm bringing all 3 of us up in this one here. So you end up stopping Kenny.
Yeah.
On the road. I always have to put him as the criminal
Thank
somewhere.
you.
So you end up just pulling Kenny over.
I have no idea what I did wrong. I'm sorry,
Right.
officer.
But the first
You
thing
did something.
Yeah, you see, but the first thing he says is, "Hey, I know your dad." Whoop whoop whoop.
Make a deal.
Well, I mean, what do you remember about her dad doing that?
Just his expression. I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't remember everything. I just remember when she did it. I said, "Oh, yeah."
Okay. Go, Chief. Does he get a ticket anyway?
He gets a ticket anyway.
No.
He gets a ticket for not knowing.
I saw him. No, I saw him on the radio.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's on YouTube. YouTube.
Okay. All right. Well, so for those of you just joining us here, that was your daddy, because that's in Robeson County. They say it's your daddy.
Yep.
That's your daddy.
That's my daddy.
And so now he's got to be extremely proud of you.
Yeah, he would be, but he passed in 2010.
Yeah, I understand.
But he would definitely be proud. I'm doing things that I'm pretty sure that if he were here, it would be on his radio station. He'd be talking about it right now.
Well, the thing is, when he was alive, were you in law enforcement back then? Or
I was.
Right? What was his thought about his little girl out there with the gun trying to fight crime?
Actually, I was a state trooper, so he was very proud of that. And I used to go see him, and I said, "Hey, Daddy," I said, "I'm running and gunning now," and he'd say, "Well, I'm glad you just came by to see me." He said, "You'll still tell a lie now, won't you?" I said, "Well, sometimes you got to lie, Dad."
So, well, again,
he was a preacher, so
I hate that he's not here to see this part of your chapter of your career. This is a big deal, not only for you but for the community as well. How have you been received?
I think fairly well. Being a female and then also being Lumbee, Native American in that part, and I know a lot of people from the area because I grew up here, so it's made it easier for me to transition. And with the officers, my personality is one that I don't see my badge as a chief. My badge is no bigger than theirs. It's an officer. I'm an officer with a lot more responsibilities, and that's the way I put it to them. All I do is try to keep it together, the glue, and bring in the rest to help with my vision, and that's kind of the way I see it.
Well, one of the visions we want to give you is the fact that the benefits for the Fayetteville bus drivers location is is better than the package that you have here. We got to work on that.
We do.
And I'm being facetious about that, but it is a difficult thing to recruit law enforcement officers across the country. And so a lot of communities, and hopefully your town board, I guess they're the ones that provide the financing for the officers that you have.
Correct.
Really have to look at what the surrounding communities are doing. And you can only do so much, I guess.
That's correct. We do have a budget, and we do have limitations that we have to work with. So we make the best of it. And I would hope and that citizens understand that, officers, their first job is to protect and serve, and then comes enforcing the law. So.
Well, one thing I always say, and then whenever I have a law enforcement officer on, is there's a fallacy that they've elected you, and not in your case, it's not a sheriff, but you've been appointed the chief of police in Red Springs. And the first question they're going to ask you is, what are you going to do to stop crime? And I always ask the chief, where do you have your crystal ball? Because how did you know so-and-so was going to shoot somebody? How did you know that so-and-so was going to rob somebody? You don't know that. And so I think it's an unfair burden to place on law enforcement leaders to say, what are you going to do to stop crime? When, in fact, it should be, community, what are y'all going to do to stop killing people? So if you look at that from that perspective, your responsibility is to mitigate the situation so nobody gets hurt in the situation. Talk about that a little bit in that perspective. Do you have that perspective? Am I on point with that?
You're on point. I think, since I've been there, you get the officers. You're on ground one with them. I think enforcing laws when necessary, but I think building rapport. I always look at it like this. If a dog pees in his backyard and messes up the grass, you want him to go pee outside and to somewhere else. But if you make it comfortable and a nice place for a person to be, they're not going to want to do that in their own grass. They'll go do it outside because they start respecting the place where they live and they love it. They'll do it somewhere else. You
make a good point because there's a police chief that we had here that talked about the areas that are broken down and buildings that need to be fixed. And if you fix those things up, people take a little bit more pride in their community. So that's exactly what you're talking about here, that fighting crime begins with making the community better in terms of how it looks and in terms of people taking ownership. And that helps you fight crime. Well,
also criminals are not just criminals, they're people too. So we don't know the background of a person that's committed a crime. For example, you could have a mother that steals diapers and milk. Is she a criminal? You got to use common sense. I would not see her as a criminal. I'd see her as she needs something. You've got to look at it and have common sense as an officer. There are criminals out there, but you got to respect them to a level, and maybe you can change them. Because that's your job to do that, is kind of change their way. Maybe you can help them and deter them from doing it for any further.
You make a good point there, so that we're talking about trying to make the community better, the best that we can. And we were talking with Crime Stoppers with Sergeant Caldwell last hour. One point we didn't hit is the fact that you can use Crime Stoppers not only to report crimes or someone that committed a crime, but also you can use it to report things that are going on in your community, drug activity, things like that. Do you see that as a tool in terms of the people taking ownership of their community, taking it back?
Absolutely, because if the citizens don't know and not aware of what's going on around them, then what good is it if we're just, enforcing laws and doing warrants and charging people, but they need to know when they're sleeping at night that we're out there protecting them so that they can't sleep. So they need to know what's surrounding them.
One thing you make an interesting point. I heard you and Sergeant Caldwell talking about whether people in Robinson County or Cumberland County will snitch and give you information that's needed. There's something negative about doing that, but the Crime Stoppers offer you the opportunity to do it anonymously, and that information is vital, not only to solving the crime, but bringing closure. Talk about that, because if you're a victim of a crime, that can stick with you for the rest of your life.
Like I had just spoken to her before she left, we do have some cold cases, and that family does not have closure. I would like to give them closure. I'm going to utilize that Crime Stopper to get that closure. And you're right, when there's drug activity in the community, Crime Stoppers is the perfect place for somebody that doesn't want to go publicly doesn't want to be known to go and tell what they want to tell and say what they want to say without being known.
You've been on the job now for about 3 months or so?
Yep.
And were you on the job, on the force, or did you come from outside?
Spring Lake. I came from Spring Lake.
So you were Spring Lake. What job did you have up there?
I worked with the detective division, investigations.
And so you heard this opening was there, not far from your hometown of Lumberton in Red Springs?
Yeah, I seen it. I seen it on Facebook, actually, or a website.
And what'd you say?
I said, let me do this. I didn't think I was going to get it. Let me do this.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Were you surprised when you were selected?
I knew I did well. I mean, I felt like I did well. I mean, I talk a lot. But,
well, obviously you did. They selected you here. But your background in law enforcement, kind of give us the where you started. You started here, stayed there, state trooper. Give me that lineup. I started off as a North Carolina State Highway Patrol. And when I had my youngest daughter, I decided to take a break from law enforcement, which I resigned from the Highway Patrol. I wish I'd have stayed, but I didn't. But you can't. I always say you can't take that hat away. I earned that one. Then I went back because I owned 4 hair salons, and so I went back to doing hair for a while, even as a reserve with Johnston County. And then I went into the city. I call it City Kitty. And once I went in the city life, then I wanted to do investigations, which is where my heart is and where it is now with the police department. That's the heartbeat is the investigative part, because that's where you do all your felony warrants and your charges and you get the real deep crimes. So my heart is still there where I'm at now with Red Springs, and I think that's what's going to make it better. And where do you see yourself in the next 4 or 5 years as you look to the future? How old is your youngins? She's 18. She goes to UNCP. And we were talking off camera. Your husband is military, retired?
Yep, he's retired.
Okay, so you got that connection there. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years or so as your career develops?
Red Springs is going to be on the map. We're going to be number one.
That ends that, right?
Yeah, we're going to be on the map. We're going to be known not for what it was known for, because when I came in, it was known for lawlessness as the police, were doing whatever they want to. We're going to be known for professionalism. We're going to be respected, and we're going to be building rapport with the community and building rapport around us with other agencies.
It's a very difficult thing to do because everybody's got a cell phone, everybody's got a camera, and we see them. You see the interaction between the public and officers all over the country. And the thing that normally gets posted, the things that get the most view, called clickbait. And so you see the interaction, and for every good thing you try to do in law enforcement, one of those videos comes out, and it takes you back 100 years. How do you combat that, or can you?
It's called a glass house. I think if you live in your life like you should, and not even in law enforcement, if you just live in a normal life, you don't got to worry about these things. If you're out there doing nefarious things, of course you're going to be caught up in cameras. But if you live in your life like you should, you ain't got to worry about those cameras because you're doing the right thing. And that's the way I like to explain it to every officer that's wearing a badge. You wear that badge, it's over your heart, and that's the way you got to wear it. So you've got to be doing the right things, and you don't have to worry about the cameras.
All right. Well, Police Chief, Antoinette Locklear Hurtt, we appreciate you coming in. Somebody in the community said, hey, you got to get the police chief on from Red Springs. I forgot who that was. I'm sure they contacted you.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'll reach out. So you and I played a little tag.
Yep.
And then finally you called me back, and I said, okay, let's make it happen. So, this is Good Morning Fayetteville, but Fayetteville is bigger than the boundaries of the city limits. We talk about our neighboring communities as well. And what's good for you down there is good for us up here. So if there's anything you think that our community needs to know, you make sure you give me a call so we can get that information out.
Sure will.
All right. And this is the Fayetteville, I'm sorry, not the Fayetteville, the Red Springs Police Chief, Antoinette Locklear Hurtt. Thank you, former state trooper. You ever been stopped by her?
No, thankfully, no.
That's right, because you always said you were going to get a ticket.
He get a ticket because he couldn't remember my daddy's slogan. What a deal, $5.
That's it.
All right. Well, Chief, you're a hoot, and you really need to have people who have a heart.
Yeah.
And I'm sure your officers who work with you are
They're great.
Got to be a breath of fresh air.
They are. They're great.
All right. Thanks so much for coming in with us. You're listening to News Talk 640 WFNC, 8:55 right now. We've got Fayetteville's most dependable forecast with CBS 17 meteorologist Rachel Dunsey.
Tuesday will have a stray shower or two. We will otherwise be partly cloudy with a high of 82. Overnight will be partly cloudy with a low of 64, and Wednesday will be mostly sunny with a high of 88. After near record high temperatures both today and tomorrow, a cold front will bring rain on Thursday, as well as much cooler temperatures for Friday. But this weekend, we rebound back into the 70s. That is your Fayetteville forecast. I'm CBS 17 meteorologist Rachel Dunsing.
Thank you, Rachel. The warm-up has begun. We've got 67 degrees right now. Fayetteville, Hope Mills, and Fort Bragg. You're listening to News Talk 640 with WFNC.
This report is sponsored by True Green. True Green. Don't waste another weekend doing your lawn care yourself.